Om Sehna Bhavatu Sehno Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we will continue reading the book. We read page 142. That was the last that we read. Since it is of very important paragraph, very important passage that I like to read again before we move on to the chapter 13. So page 142. How is the individual subtle body created? At the outset, scriptures say that unlike the gross, the subtle body is manufactured once and for all. At the beginning of creation, we get this subtle body, and it remains with us till we attain illumination. Have you thought about this sentence or this statement? Subtle body, as we learned, is made of 17 aspects. 5 sense of organs, 5 organs of knowledge, 5 pranas, mind and intellect. And according to the Vedic knowledge, this subtle body is eternal until there is a self-realization, until we drop the ignorance and gain the right knowledge or higher knowledge. Until then, the subtle body continues to exist. The gross body disappears or comes to an end, but the subtle body and the causal body continue. So this is very important to understand, that what we call death is death of this body. But our indriyas, our organs, when I say organs, not the organs physical form, but the elements of sense organs, organs of knowledge, prana, and mind and buddhi, is in the seed form. It is potential to adopt another body and manifest. We have mentioned the 5 fundamental elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. In their essentially unmixed and pure state, these 5 are called they alone, tanmatras. These are formed from Maya or Prakriti. Prakriti consists of 3 qualities or gunas. So these 5 tanmatras too are formed of these 3 gunas. These 5 elements create the 17 constituents of the subtle body of the individual. So here is the answer on the question, how this subtle body are made of. Subtle body is made of these 5 subtle elements unmixed in pure state. So these 5 subtle elements in the pure states in Sattva Guna are the cause of this subtle body. Combining all the subtle bodies on the cosmos. So this is another point. So first para talks about individual subtle body. Now it talks about the collective subtle body. Combining all subtle bodies of the cosmos, we get the supreme subtle body, known as Hiranyagarbha. also called as the cosmic egg or source of the gross physical universe. Because Hiranyagarbha is the collective subtle body, it has intellect. This supreme intelligence, a combination of all the intellect of all the beings put together, must be enormous. Hence, the supreme intelligence is called Mahat. This cosmic intelligence or Hiranyagarbha becomes the source of the physical cosmos and our own individual physical bodies. You see, that's the answer of our physical form. The physical form is out of Mahat or cosmic egg, which is nothing but the collection of all the subtle bodies of existence. And therefore, it has a collective intelligence, enormous amount of intelligence. And that is the source of this physical form. So we move on to, if there is a question, please let me know. These are the very significant statements. And unless you get it right, it will be only superfluous to go on reading. Now it talks about the organs of knowledge.
Acharya
So I'm gonna, sorry.
This in Surya Namaskar, when we say Om Hiranyagarbhaya Namah, so are we referring to the sun as the Hiranyagarbha?
So for our solar system that we are part of, the solar system that we are part of, our central source of energy is the sun that we know. But that's only for our solar system. And as you probably know, that we are tiny part of the many solar systems and Milky Ways and galaxies and whatever. So when we say Hiranyagarbha, for us, that power, that source of energy is Mahat, is Hiranyagarbha. But that's only limited understanding, because our immediate source of energy is that sun. And that's only that we know, because it is in our solar system. However, back of mind, by reading such literature, we know that that's not really the truth. Hiranyagarbha is the collective intelligence of entire manifestation. And we know, or some of you might know, that we are not alone in this manifestation. There are millions, probably billions of living beings in different planets, in different frequencies, in different fields. So our understanding is very limited. When we think of our world, our Earth, at the most we can explore different planets in our solar system. But there are many, many other existences. And when we talk of cosmic egg or Mahat, it is addressed to that collective energy which is of all existence. Our sense, our mind cannot perceive it. So we have to take a support of this kind of literature, take it as the authentic information. So, organs of knowledge, I will read the first paragraph quickly, because what is of substance is from the second page. So, we start introduction of the organs of knowledge. Vedantic scholars have discussed every aspect of life and afterlife in detail. Their thoroughness is worth noticing. These scholars who were persons of experience, see, the scholars were the persons of experience, which means they have experienced this knowledge. It is not just somebody is writing something which thousands of years later we are studying, those who have personally experienced this knowledge, their thoroughness in worth noticing. These scholars who have persons of experience have left no place for confusion. Thus, in their explanation of the practical reality of Vyavarika Sattva, there are minute details of all the constituents of subtle body, how they are formed, who governs them, and so on. So here comes the subject of each organ of sense as a presiding deity. To go back a little, the aspirant comes to know about higher life and strives to purify his mind. He thus becomes mumukshu. This seeker after liberation should first of all know what actually is, which means, as we know, we must, you remember we spoke in the beginning of the qualities or qualification of the seeker: sama, dhamma, uparati, titiksha, sadhana, samadhana, and mumukshatam. Those are the qualities that one should possess or acquire or develop. One of that is mumukshu. Mumukshu is intense desire of liberation. So this seeker would know what he actually is, in essence. Second, what this cosmos is. And the third, what truth is. So this seeker after liberation should first of all know what he is actually, what this cosmos is, what truth is. This book initially took up A, that is what he actually is. It discussed the physical body. It has now begun discussing the subtle body. Having introduced the subtle body in the previous chapter, its constituents are considered one by one now. And now it talks, I would jump to the last para of page 144. The ear, the skin, the eyes, tongue, and the nose. These are the 5 senses of knowledge. Ear, skin, eyes, tongue, and nose. Now, these are the 5 instruments of knowledge. See the word used, instrument. They are not the energy, but they are the instruments, merely instruments, which are in a physical form. We know we have eyes, we know we have ears, we know we have a nose or tongue and the skin. But we only know the existence in a physical form. We do not know how they operate and what is the power behind these tools or organs. How does this function? So now it talks about each of these organs have the presiding deity. So it says, of the ear, presiding deity is direction. Now, obviously, apparently, it makes no sense as to understand what ear has to do with the direction. But the direction happens to be the presiding deity. It will explain us how. The skin, it is the air. Eyes, it is the sun. Tongue, it is Varuna. Of the nose, it is the Ashwinis. These are the deities of the organs of knowledge. The function of the ear is sensing the sound. Of the skin, it is sensing, feeling, or touch. Of the eyes, it is seeing, sensing the form. Of the tongue, it is sensing taste. And of the nose, it is sensing of the smell. These are the function of these organs. Gnanendriya's organ of knowledge it may appear a bit surprising that Vedantians who are so rational should become a bit emotional at times and say that there are gods ruling over sense organs. You see, this sometimes becomes a subject of debate because the Advaita Vedanta has a philosophy of believing that everything is Brahman. However, here it also talks about the so-called demigods, gods, and presiding deity. So it explains how, why. It becomes those who have personally experienced this knowledge were influenced by what is known as the devotion, bhakti. And because of that emotion of bhakti, they had this expression that each organ has its presiding deity. Without the energy and the blessing of that particular deity, our sense organs do not perform. This is how it is explained. But this is the traditional view, which these Vedantians have adopted. So Vedantians have adopted this popular belief of that time, few thousand years ago. Vedanta is nothing but Vedas, and Vedas have numerous gods and goddesses, which are expression of the one supreme being. Mark that sentence. Many times you might have come across a situation when people make a very light comment that Hindus have many gods and goddesses. Yeah, which is true. In our Vedas, there are mentions of different gods and goddesses. But what people do not realize that all these many gods and goddesses are nothing but the expressions of that one supreme being. Ultimately, it is one supreme being. Different gods and goddesses are nothing but the expression of the same one Brahman. Why? It will explain. So these gods and goddesses are like officers looking after different quarters. In the Brahma Sutra, there is a discussion about the gods. The discussion is whether gods too can attain knowledge. Badrayan, the author of Brahma Sutra, upholds the view that the gods can indeed attain knowledge, though other school opposes this. So there are gods and they have their own responsibilities. There could be some scientific basis in saying, for instance, the sun rules over the eye. Who knows it? So the presiding deity of the eye is the sun. Now, how is it related to the eye? It will tell. Gnana, the knowledge, Indriyani, the sense organs. These are 5 sense organs which link us to the outer world, the external world. As we saw earlier, is made up of 5 elements. The external world is made of 5 elements. The internal world, our subtle body, is made of the same 5 elements. So it is all the play of 5 elements alone. Distilling things further, it is all the play of Prakriti or Maya alone. You understand? So what we perceive as the world or existence, every single thing is made of 5 elements. Yeah? So without those 5 elements, nothing could exist externally. Similarly, our subtle body is made of the same 5 elements. And that is why there is a saying that what is out there it's the same within us, or what is within us is out there, which means essentially it means those 5 elements. We are made of the 5 elements in its pure form. The same 5 elements are the cause of this manifestation. So in that sense, it says that all that we know, all that we can understand is the play of these five elements. And five elements is the result of Prakriti, or the manifestation of Prakriti or Maya. In bottom line is everything is the play of Maya. Now, what is Maya? It's nothing, there's no shape, form of Maya or Prakriti. It is just ignorance. We are studying theory based on Advaita Vedanta, non-dualism. And according to non-dualism, it is one alone. There cannot exist anything than one. There is no second, which means there is no Maya, there is no Prakriti. It exists until you are ignorant. Moment you gain the right knowledge, there is no Maya, there is no Prakriti. That becomes the appearance of Brahman. So, suppose there was no contact with the outer world at all. So, it gives you the analogy. Suppose there was no contact with the outer world at all. What would have happened? We would have remained sealed within our bodies like a capsule. This is what is happening in the case of lower types of bodies. For example, the tree, for instance, it is unable to express itself. Similarly, we would have, now when it says trees do not express themselves, it's in the context of how we express. We use our different organs, sense organs, whether it is organs of knowledge or organ of action. The trees, which are considered to be lower self, existence of lower self, because they do not have that same organs of knowledge and action. It does not mean that they do not have conversation. It does not mean they do not express their existence. We all know every plant has the method of conveying, of method of expression. They do talk to each other. They do have a conversation happening among themselves. It's just that we do not understand it or we do not notice it. So if we realize it, that what is known as the World Wide Web in our internet, www, it is arrived, that phrase World Wide Web arrived from the fact that every tree, every plant have the roots, and roots have their network, and roots have connection to their neighbors, to the other plants, and they have constant dialogue or conversation going on. And that is nothing but expression of their own existence. But they do not have organs as we have. That's all the difference. Trees, for instance, it is unable to express itself. Similarly, we would have remained where we are and would neither evolve to attain knowledge, nor evolve to enjoy the world. We would be like the dead body inside a coffin. In order to attain liberation, we should know we are bound and that we can attain liberation by study and meditation. If there were no sense organs to keep us in touch with the outer world, we would be like stocks and stones, with darkness hidden in darkness, not knowing that we are in ignorance at all. You see? So significant. Darkness hidden in darkness. What does that mean? If we do not have these organs of sense organs and these organs of action, prana, etc., we would be, so to say, in darkness. Darkness of knowing who we are, what we are. And when you are in darkness, you are part of that darkness. You do not have the reality. You do not know who you are, which is considered to be in darkness. So until we gain the right knowledge or higher knowledge, we all exist in darkness. We all exist in darkness because we do not have right knowledge or higher knowledge. Consider a deaf, mute, and blind person who is insensitive to touch and cannot distinguish the smell. Just imagine people who are deaf, mute, and blind, and insensitive to touch and smell. All the doors of his perceptions are closed. It is taking us to prove that what we know organs of sense or action are only appearance, only in the physical form. They perform their role guided by subtle body, which is really the indriyas, which are really the energy force. So example is given if the person who is deaf, mute, blind, and also cannot is not sensitive to the touch and the smell, all doors of his organs are closed. The first doubt is, are there no sense organs in this person? No, they have. Oh yes, they are there. Organs are there. The outer aperture in the physical body are closed. That is all. When this person takes a new body, the latent sense organs begin to function if the apertures are there. So the example of the person who have no such ability of perceptions, it does not mean they do not possess those organs. The organs are there, but they are inactive, which means the subtle body that powers these organs to perform is missing. That's all it is. So when you have anyone that you know who is blind, it does not mean he does not have an eye. Eyes are there, but eye cannot see. Why? Because what is required for eye to see is this internal energy or function, and that is missing, which proves that these sense organs by itself are not powerful, are not capable of performing without that subtle body. And this is why there is a difference of explaining that the physical form is only an appearance and has no real power. The subtle body has the real power. And we do not appreciate that. We do not even know about subtle body. The second doubt regarding such person is, how is he or her to know that there is a bondage and that liberation is possible? How can this person contact a teacher and acquire knowledge? How can this person meditate, and on what? Therefore, just the physical body is imperative to knowing the truth. The physical world too is imperative, and our contact with the physical world too is necessary. So, says the Katha Upanishad, that the Lord himself created senses as outgoing. The sense organs go out and bring back knowledge of external world. It is only after the sense organs reveal the external world that our organs of action begin to act. So the sense organs are vital. You see how the sequence is made. first comes the organs of knowledge, which are these 5 organs. And they simply acquire the knowledge of external world. Yeah? Our eyes see what we can see. Our ears can hear the sound, and tongue can taste, etc. But without these organs of sense, organ of knowledge, organ of action cannot perform. Yeah? For your legs to walk, your sense of knowledge must perceive that walking is good for my health. Yeah, that's the knowledge. The eyes see a beautiful object, and that is why the action happens, either picking it up or maintaining it or whatever. So the knowledge comes first and then comes the action, and not vice versa. This is so important to understand. So in this context, I remember something. When we speak of dhyana as a meditation, remember, dhyana is not the cause of jnana, but jnana is the cause of the dhyana. In other words, when we practice dhyana or being in state of meditation, so to say, is not the cause of jnana. Because when you sit for meditation or dhyana, however long you sit, there is a time frame that you end it. Moment you end it, you are back in this world. Yeah, you are back in this world. But when you have the right knowledge, higher self, you need not sit with your eyes closed into dhyana. You can continue doing what you're doing as a meditative state. You are in dhyana, no matter what you are doing, because you are constantly in the influence and power, in the understanding that it is that supreme being, the Brahman, that exists, and I am that. Once you know that, once you have that jnana, once you have that knowledge, dhyana is ongoing. You do not have to devote 10 minutes or 20 minutes. What we're trying to do is force upon to get us used to do it. That's all we are doing. Sitting in dharana and dhyana is just a matter of practice, getting used to maintain silence, stillness, or in solitude. But ultimately, it is to be in the meditative state is most important. So I realize my battery of my instrument is just about 10%. I may get disconnected. And anyway, our time is also. So we will stop here, and next time we will read point 2 of page 146, the process of knowing. As I said earlier, we do not want to rush by reading quickly. Most important is to read, get the clarity, contemplate, and then move forward. So I will stop here today and ask you if you have anything to share or ask out of what we read today. I only wish that you find time to do the reading either before we pick up the reading for each class or after that. That would give you a little more clarity. Because simply reading will not be sufficient. I mean, unless you reading slowly and contemplating. How many of you have no doubts about what we read, the subject? Or how many of you have only doubts and no understanding? It happens. When I read first time, I had no understanding. And that's a good beginning when you do not understand, because when you don't understand, you are curious to know. You read it again, or you raise the questions or raise your doubts and find someone who can give you the understanding.
So, Acharya, the sense organs are basically a filter for you to assimilate inside. I mean,
Yes, in a way, yes. The sense organs or gyanendriyas are in a physical form simply an instrument, tools, which are necessary. Without that, if I, out of accident or whatever, as a default, if I do not have one eye and there is a hole, for instance, my eye cannot perform. But think this way, that I do possess two eyes perfectly fine, and yet I cannot see from one eye. Why? Physically, I have an eye, and yet it does not perform. So the sense organs as an instrument, as a tool is required, but it is more important that the technique or modalities or the energy beyond this eye in a physical form is much more important. And that does not belong to your physical body. That belongs to subtle body. That's all it says. So as a scientist or a doctor might find out that we have nerves which carries the impression of what we see. Yeah, it's nothing but a reflection of the eye. Reflection of the light. If there is a rope lying on the floor in total darkness, your eye, which is performing well, you have a physical eye, as well as your let's say internal energies are functioning well, but you do not see it because of the darkness. The moment you turn on the light, you see what object is. So seeing is nothing but a reflection of the light. Yeah, that's what happens. In darkness, if you're familiar with in your room, you know what lies where, what piece of furniture lies. You do not really see it, but you know as a mind conditioning, but you do not see it. Why? There is no reflection of light. So up to now, what it's trying to tell us is the sense organs have two existences, physical form and something which is internal. Yeah, there is modalities that how every sense organ perform. Your skin is for the touch. Yeah, you touch a certain objects, the skin itself has no sensation without the prana, without the energy, without that subtle body, as we call. And that conveys the signal to your brain, and brain will then decide instantly it's hot, it's cold, it's clean, it's not clean, it's soothing, not soothing, whatever. So when you are right now, our skin can touch and give us the signals and we perceive things. But if you are in deep sleep, yeah, absolutely deep sleep, and you touch any object, you would not know it. Why? Why? It's just that the touch per se means nothing unless the entire functioning of internal or subtle body is in operation. In deep sleep, your body exists because you are breathing. Other than that, and that's why it says that you are closest to your source, the consciousness. And that's why it says it is at the borderline of Turiya, consciousness. The closest to consciousness is deep sleep. Why? Because your sense organs, whether it's Gyanendriya, Karmendriya, nothing functioning except the breathing. That keeps you going alive. But you do not know you are the best part is that you are existing, but you do not know at that time because you are in deep sleep. You are in deep sleep, you do not know that your body exists. You do not know that you are breathing. When I say you, I mean Jivatma. Jiva knows it. So as I always say, very, very important is to understand what is Jivatma. Atma and Jiva. The Atma is spirit, is the consciousness. Jiva is the combination of your tendencies, of your memories, of your ego, of your karmas, and whatever. So that's how the organs of senses are important, and yet not the final, because they are only the instrument to carry out what your subtle body directs you to do. Our hands, legs, or our tongue, which is an organ of action, speaking, happens based on the signals conveyed by our senses of knowledge. I cannot speak without having some knowledge of what I want to speak. Right, wrong, good, bad is not important. It's not the question. So the tongue cannot perform without having the knowledge or without knowing I want to talk. Hands, legs, everything. So that's why they pick up the first discussion of the sense of senses, organs of senses, which is Gyanendriyas.
So if I'm allowed to use the metaphor of the room with the windows, and if windows
Sorry,
are like
I couldn't
eyes,
get you.
I said if I'm allowed to use the metaphor of a room and the windows are the eyes, unless there's somebody behind the windows, the window by itself does not have the power to show what is outside. Something has to stand behind the window. Is that what Gyanendriyas, which you're talking about, is?
Yes, that's right. That's right. So, for example, there is a beautiful flower in your garden. Okay, your eyes see it, and it gives you impression to your brain, to that faculty, that this is a flower. Then it will go further on saying it is a pink color or white color or different colors. It will also further give you detail of the shape, the size, the color, the fragrance. Yeah, but it is not your eyes. It is the faculty in the brain which comes to that conclusion. How does that come to conclusion? Based on your experiences, based on your mind conditioning. We have been mind conditioned that the flower is beautiful, and therefore this is the rose, this is sunflower, this is this, that. Who gave that knowledge to us? How did we come to know that? It is our mind conditioning. You may call it learning. Learning is nothing but mind conditioning. So the organ of senses per se is only instrument. It's only tool by which you gain this external knowledge. But to perceive it, to notice what it is your internal, the job of your faculty called brain. And that is how the signals are received, and instantly, it gives out the signals to your karmendriyas, your actions. That's the working of our sense organs, whether it's sense of knowledge or action. As we read further on, it will also explain the science behind the seeing or hearing or testing. What happens really? So, as we said last time, Monday we will have some asanas, and Tuesday you will repeat them. Tuesday will be our last class before we meet again after the gap. I know you have a visit to Vikasalaya, and I have yoga retreat to attend. So the last class will be next Tuesday.
And
Yes,
after
Acharya ji.
that, we meet on.
Sorry?
We meet after next Tuesday on what date?
I will be back on 22nd of February, which happens to be Thursday.
Thursday.
So,
24th.
pardon?
So 24th is the next following Saturday.
Yes.
Yes, so I will see if we can meet on 22nd itself or otherwise 24th.
Very well, Acharya.
But I'll let you know that. Because I come back on 22nd. We'll see what time, etc.
Ji.
Yes, Acharya ji.
Thank you very much. Let's have a prayer. Asatoma Sagamaya Amasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Ritam Gamaya Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, God, for giving us air to breathe. Thank you, God, for giving us water to drink. Thank you, God, for giving us sun for energy. Thank you, God, for giving us food to eat. Thank you, God, for giving us good health and happiness. Thank you, God, for giving us positivity. Thank you, God, for giving us all that we need. Thank you, God, for your love, your protection, your guidance, your blessings. Thank you, God, for the existence. Thank you for giving me a chance to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you, Acharya ji.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Acharya
Wish
ji.
you a nice day.